He carried the most hated surname in history. But instead of bowing to the legacy, he turned his back on it and joined the fight against his own blood. This is the true story of William Patrick Hitler. William Patrick Hitler was born on March 12, 1911, in Liverpool, England. He was the son of Adolf Hitler Jr., an Austrian who had immigrated to Britain, and Bridget Dowling, an Irish woman from Dublin. William's early life was thus shaped by two very different worlds: a working class upbringing in Liverpool and a distant paternal link to a family in Austria. Alois returned to Germany before World War I, leaving his young family behind. William grew up largely without his father and remained, for much of his childhood and youth, a British subject. Unfamiliar with the political career his half-uncle Adolf would later pursue. In his late teens and early 20s, William accepted his father's invitation to visit Germany. By the late 1920s and early 1930s, Adolf Hitler was an ascendant figure in German politics. For a young man with a famous surname, Germany presented opportunity. He arrived hoping for doors to open. He found them, but only partially. According to later accounts, William was provided with modest positions, clerical work, an office job at a bank, and later employment at Opel factories. These were not the high offices he had imagined, and resentment grew. William later felt underused and washed, claiming he was expected to genuflect before a family name he neither fully understood nor believed in. The spirit shows a recurring theme of William's life, an uneasy mixture of family connection and estrangement. He was kin by blood, but not by conviction. As Nazi power consolidated, William became increasingly frustrated. He wanted either promotion or escape. Multiple later accounts claim William threatened to expose family secrets or to leverage the name for financial gain. These tales include assertions made by William and repeat in press interviews that he threatened to reveal sensitive family details unless he was given a more prominent post. Scholars caution that parts of this narrative may be self-serving or exaggerated. Nevertheless, it is central to the story William told about why his relationship with Adolf collapsed. What is less contested is what followed. By the late 1930s, William had fled Germany and returned to Britain. Adolf reportedly labeled him publicly as an embarrassment, and the family tie had been effectively severed. In 1939, William, accompanied by his mother Bridget, crossed the Atlantic to the United States on a lecture tour arranged by media interests. He gave talks, ran interviews, and cooperated with the newspapers and magazines, positioning himself as a witness and a critic of his uncle. Headlines emphasize the scandalous dynamic, the nephew who had rejected the feud. One striking element of his chapter is how William used the media to reframe his identity, not as a member of the feud's family, but as an opponent. He sold his story and attempted to profit from and warn against the man who, from 1933 on, had plunged Europe into tyranny. And at the same time, these public denunciations exposed him to questions about his motives and credibility. When war expanded across the globe, William sought a decisive act to repudiate his uncle's regime. He wanted to fight. Initially, neither Britain nor the United States welcomed him because of his surname. He faced rejection and suspicion. Where he persisted, William wrote to President Roosevelt requesting permission to enlist in the U.S. military. This was an extraordinary step. A private citizen appealing directly to the commander-in-chief to be allowed to fight the dictator who bore his family name. The request triggered FBI background checks and careful consideration by U.S. authorities. After months of vetting, and perhaps after public pressure and the practical needs of wartime recruitment, William was accepted. On March 6, 1944, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy as a pharmacist's mate, a corpsman. This was a dramatic transformation, from the nephew of Adolf Hitler to a uniformed sailor treating American casualties in the Pacific. As a pharmacist's mate, William functioned as a Navy corpsman, a role equal parts medical technician and frontline caregiver. Corpsmen treated the wounded on ships and at shore installations, often under fire. William served in the Pacific Theater, and the contemporary records and Zion accounts report he was wounded in action and later received a Purple Heart. Imagine the psychological collision: a man carrying the name that inspired fear across Europe, now tending the bleeding and the frightened bodies of Allied sailors and Marines. Accounts suggest William took his duties seriously. He performed the demanding work of a medic and participated in the grim routines of casualty care. After the war, William changed his name to William Patrick Stuart-Houston and sought anonymity. He returned to civilian life on Long Island, New York, where he married, had children, and ran a small laboratory doing blood analysis. He became an American citizen and tried to build a life far from the shock value of his birth name. He died on July 14, 1987, largely unknown to the public that had once read every sensational headline about him. His children and descendants have mostly remained out of the limelight, pursuing ordinary lives, acquire repudiation of celebrity and notoriety. William Patrick Hitler's life reads like a study in moral ambiguity and personal reinvention. He began as a relative of one of history's most monstrous figures. It ended as an American veteran and private citizen. Along the way, he gave interviews, accused and was accused, and made choices that many of his contemporaries found bewildering. Was he opportunist or conscience-driven? Likely both at times. The record suggests he was a man shaped by circumstance who repeatedly sought to escape the shadow of his family. Ultimately, he chose service over silence, a choice that altered his identity and perhaps his conscience. Hi, my name is Mike. Welcome to the Lay Historian channel. If you like the content, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.